Welcome to the Never Ready podcast.
You gotta turn the click off. I'm
forgot
gonna
it was on. All right, we're jamming to the click. All right, welcome to the Never Ready podcast, the podcast where we really talk. I like to go in depth and talk with various artists, producers, other kind of artists, anybody, no matter what you do, about the general concept behind why I named everything this is because personally I have never felt ready, never been ready. So I named my company Never Ready because I was never ready. And I feel like we've all felt that at some point in time. We all felt like, you just want all these things, you want to do all this stuff with your life, but you're always waiting on something. You're never ready. So I want to sit down and talk with people that are doing great things and ask them why they decided they were ready. What switched them out of that, or if they've always been that way. Who knows? Today I got with me my dear friend Funk. He is a super talented musician and a learning producer. He's an actual, a fantastic artist, had his art displayed in a few different galleries, a few art shows, stuff like that. Father, excellent husband and father. He is a very talented construction man, built various homes. He's just recently building a deck for somebody, but he loves to build pretty things for lots of people. This man has walked the entire Appalachian Trail. He is one of the nicest, most caring people I've ever met in this world, and he's someone I definitely aspire to be more like.
Oh, man, thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Let you, anything I forget to mention here?
The Appalachian Trail was sweaty and long and hard, but that not something I try to... Some people make that their whole identity, but I try to, just kind of do other things with my life, too.
I know. I personally know you, and I forget you did it half the time. I
sometimes forget that I do that, that I did that, too.
I was thinking about the intro here, and I had to be like, oh, yeah, he just did that, last summer or 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Came back and started the family.
I was glad that I did it before I had kids, though, because I had met somebody while I was living in Wyoming that was in his mid-40s, and he was overweight and had kids and stuff, and he wanted to do it forever, but just was one of those things, life always got in the way, and he was my inspiration to I was like, okay, well, it's summer now. Next summer, I'm going to go do that shit. And then I saved up as much money as I could, and then I went and did it.
I know, you were here briefly for a while before getting ready.
That's when I was living here in the backyard, and then I was I would bring all my hiking stuff into the woods in the back and just camp.
Yeah, I remember you your stuff all getting here. You were ordering each thing, you got your fancy backpack that was all waterproof.
Now that thing has a lot of holes in it.
You're sleeping under a tarp a lot of the time. I remember your pictures and videos. Your Snapchat was just banging the whole time. That was a good one.
Sleeping under a tarp was really cool.
It's nice when it rains and stuff. You don't want to get flooded, but the sound is sometimes so nice.
There were times where I had to dig a moat around me to keep from getting flooded, but I definitely stayed drier under my tarp than some people did with tents.
Gotcha. I'm a huge camping fan. I would love to do something like that sometime.
It's kick ass. But it was also you get that stuff wears off, the novelty of packing your backpack every day and doing the hike and stuff. It just wears off after a few 100 miles, 500 miles in or so. You've done the same thing every day for a long time. And it's just a mental game of trying to stay in it. Which is kind of the same way for my creative endeavors too. You be creative and do so many projects, and after a while they start to kind of not blend together, but you got to find a way to refresh yourself and take a break.
Oh yeah, it's really good that you also do multiple types of art and creative endeavors. At
one point, I sometimes get jealous of people that only have one thing that they can focus on, because I have so many things that I want to do. I want to learn so many different instruments. I want to learn I'm learning fiddle. I have a looper set up in my basement that I'll just do a guitar loop on, and then I'll just bounce between all my instruments. Sometimes Lacey comes downstairs and I just have instruments laying everywhere because I keep bouncing around on them. But I want to learn all these instruments. I want to do all these different things, and I'm glad that it kind of gives me something to split focus between. So I thought for the longest that I was I wish I only had one thing. Not all the time, but sometimes I was I wish I only had one thing that I could just focus on and be really, really good at. But I get bored of just doing one thing after a while. So it is nice to be able to switch from music to art to even construction sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Not all the time.
It helps too that a lot of your stuff goes hand in hand. So it's like you working on your music and you just really don't want to do it for a while. You start doing a bunch of art. There you got, kick-ass album arts for the next few songs if you want also.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they all can work together,
I also really want to combine my talents. So I was really inspired by some 3D art pieces that I saw at an art fair that I was at. And it seems like a really cool way to combine the handyman talents. So by like making, different frames and different shapes to do the art on and stuff. I also want to like add lights, and I'd like to like make a song to go along with this art piece or whatever, Be cool.
No, yeah, I like that. I really like the idea of the songs going with art or into the art pieces. My wife earlier was telling me something about an artist, a band. I can't remember who it was at the moment. A band she followed back when we were teenagers. That the artist, the singer, was a heavy painter, so he would paint the music videos, and they would be like these really cool, either a time lapse kind of style of him painting stuff, or it'd be like various paintings that seem like they move together.
Yeah.
So yeah, every project, the album's arts, everything like that, he was intensely like painting all of it because that was his big thing. I'll have to have her tell you who that was because that seemed like something. Right when she told me, I told her that'd have to be something I'd tell you about because that seemed like something you'd do. Paint a whole music video.
But part of the thing is like I worry that I'll never like reach the mastery that I want to get to. Like it's not that I feel like it's less of an egoic thing for me, and more just because like being a very fluent musician and like being able to express myself freely over the guitar or banjo or whatever it is that I choose, just seems like a lot of fun. And not like I want to, be a big masterful concert, person, but I do want to be able to express myself very freely. And so that really drives me with the music and the art too. I feel like that's the kind of mindset that you have to do to get really good. You just have to be really, really into it for the right reasons.
What for you are like what is the main right reason? Like, where do you actually want to go? Where do you see yourself? And
so the art career is like I say that like construction is my job, but art is my career, and the music is something that I do for fun. That will help bring in money, but I'm not like I want to buy a house with the money I make from music. But art, that's how I feel, and because I feel like so much potential with the art. So the direction I want to go with that is, so a year ago when I moved up to St. Louis, I was like, I want to focus on music and art, but I had no idea what was going to happen. So I just went up there and I went to work, just making pieces, trying to, do commissions for people. One thing led to another. I was at, oh man, I love telling this story because this is pretty serendipitous how this happened. So I started going to like bluegrass jams around St. Louis and in Illinois. Like I live on the Illinois side. So I started going to bluegrass jams and stuff around there. And I met this dude, Tate. He's a mandolin player who loves bluegrass music, and he does sound for all these different things. Well, I met him at a show one day and was like, I hit him up, and we had been in a few different jams together, and I told him, I was like, I want to learn anything I can about audio. So if you ever need like help at any show or whatever, I would love to just shadow you for the weekend. He was like, and a couple weeks later, he hit me up and was like, hey, I have this bluegrass thing that I'm about to do. You can come set up your art booth and help me do audio for the weekend. So I went, and we're doing the festival. I help him set up, and he has me set up my art booth, and Lisi and the baby are there, and we're just kicking it with everybody, meeting people. And, but we're not making any money. It's like I wasn't selling any art, which is like, that's okay. I had really just gotten started. It was my first time like presenting my art in a way that it kind of looked professional, because I had been working on getting my art booth set up and making it look presentable so I could go to like local art fairs. So I'm set up at this bluegrass thing, not making any money, and people are coming in, and I was like, well, I told Lisa, I was like, we gotta at least try to find a way to make some money this weekend. So I had this old banjo with me, and the idea was to do live painting on it and raffle it off. And so we started selling raffle tickets, and then by the end of the second day, we had sold like 50 of them, made some money for the weekend, and the evening it came time to do the drawing, and the person that won it, her name was Sarah Umlauf. It was like a weird last name, but I remembered her writing that down, and so she called it. She came up, got the banjo, and we all took pictures together. And the end of the evening came up. She came up to my booth and she handed me her business card, and it said St. Louis Art Fair Executive Director. And I had already applied to be in their emerging artist program. And I didn't know how big of a deal the St. Louis Art Fair was, but it's like a national event. Like, artists come from all over the country to sell their art in Clayton, Missouri. And
I didn't know that.
it's so cool, because when I went, well, I'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm gonna take a breath. I'm just getting really excited. So Sarah comes up to me, and you know, she had the banjo. They had put it up or whatever, but she came up to me. She gave me her business card, and I got so excited because I told her that I had already applied to be in the program, and she was like, well, I can pretty much guarantee that you're getting in, because she loved my work. She was like, we're gonna get you some mentorship. She's like, you really have what it takes to make something out of this and make a career out of it. So that was awesome. I left that night. I gave my friend Tate a big hug, because I was like, dude, this weekend might have changed my life. And that all happened because I was willing to help somebody out for free, just for knowledge, and it put me in the right place at the right time.
When you put yourself out there, it's amazing what can actually start coming, you know?
Yeah, you know, other people that were supposed to be there that weekend for him didn't end up coming through, so I was like one of the people that ended up coming through for him, and it helped me out. So that happened. That was over the summer, and then so the St. Louis Art Fair was in September. Mm-hmm. So I got accepted into their Emerging Artist Program, which is a 2-year commitment. The first year, they bring you on. They have like a director that takes you through the fair the whole weekend, and they like match you up with different people that are like your mentors. Nice. For like the morning or the evening or whatever. And it was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the first night, or maybe it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I can't remember. But the first night, my mentor sold a painting for $5,000. Ooh. And it was a pretty good size. It was like maybe 32 by 40 or something, but it was... Okay. She sold a $5,000 painting, and she had been in the Emerging Artists Program a couple years prior. And so seeing somebody do that, like do the thing that I wanted to do, was so inspiring. And plus these artists, like St. Louis Art Fair isn't the only one. There are these art fairs all over the country. So that was like light bulb went off. It was like, I can travel around selling my art as long as I'm making art for me and not just like focusing on commissions. Because mostly what I was doing early on was like doing portraits of people's loved ones and stuff, but not really focusing on what I wanted to make. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm focusing, like I've done a couple of pieces that were just like my brainchildren, something that I did not for money, but just because it was something I wanted to create. Those have been like the most impactful pieces that I've made. And so I really want to keep going in that direction.
Do you mean just on you or on any of the other people that have taken in your art?
So when I do a commission for somebody, especially like a lost loved one piece, it's like, it'll really impact like 1 or 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 people if it's a family or something.
Oh, you gave Blade one of his dog. Just surprised him with a Thor after that made him. He was very gushy.
Yeah,
hit
so
him hard.
Those pieces are really special to me because they, they're impactful to a certain person. But when I did Growth, which is the one I did of Lisi, just using her as like a guide, and it had all the flowers and the 32 by 40 really big one that I did. I had a bunch of people hit me up after I posted that one saying like, oh, this made me cry, this was so beautiful, and so I found that it actually reached more people than it was just something that I wanted to make. And that coupled with the St. Louis Art Fair thing and seeing people just make a killing, making so much money, like selling the things that they just create because they love it, really just set me on fire. And I've been doing construction projects ever since the St. Louis Art Fair, trying to get caught up on bills and stuff. So I'm dying to get back in the studio. So anyway, the weekend of the art fair comes around, and they matched me with different mentors and stuff, and it was just such an eye-opening thing, but also like kind of made me feel a pit of despair in my stomach because it showed me I have a long way to go, and I have to stay committed, and I have to keep striving to get better and keep trying to say what I want to say. But I have a hard time I put a lot of pressure on myself.
Do you have a clear image of what it is that you want to say?
I guess it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. So,
Okay, so you just want to be true to how you're feeling.
Yeah, I think so.
That's good.
So like, I have a few concepts for pieces that I'm really excited about creating. Really into like Ram Dass's books and stuff like that.
I remember your picture you drew of Ram Dass.
Yeah, I did him. I also nice. I got the "Be Here Now" tattoo on my ribs, and so I've been going back through the book and stuff lately, and where the fuck was I going with this? There's a piece that I want to do that's like a self-portrait of me like taking my foot and trying to rip the skin off of a snake and making it like really gory. But that being a tribute to like trying to be patient in my life, because you can't rip the skin off of a snake. Like, you can't make it shed its skin. You can only wait for it to happen.
No, I like that.
And I got that saying out of the book.
Nice.
So that gave me an idea for that art piece. Because I don't know, I kind of have a dark side too, so like I like to do stuff like, I haven't really made a lot of like gory art, so I think that would be kind of a fun thing to play around with.
Definitely. You touched on something a second ago that I feel like a lot of artists struggle with, where you were talking about just making what you want to make, and how you were inspired by seeing other people, being able to make a living off just doing what they want. I feel like so many artists fall into the trap of making what they think they're supposed to make, or what they think. When I know I'm guilty of it, I've done it in some of my music. I'm not necessarily trying to be a musician, so I just do it for fun. But I'll follow the pattern of being like, this is what it's supposed to be. But I love to try to push myself to break the rules, because there really is no rules. We all just feel like there are these rules.
It's more like a set of guidelines, but a lot of them
stray from it. Do what you want.
Accepted as hard and fast rules.
But a lot of artists, I feel like, struggle with that.
I don't want to get I don't ever want to put myself in a box. So a lot of this like growth in my first year, I said I'm a portrait artist. I do portraits of people. That is what I do. But I also love to use fun, expressive colors and stuff. But I'm not just a portrait artist. I'm never just going to be just a portrait artist. It's just one body of work that I've been focusing on. And I'm excited
so you're currently a portrait artist. Next time I'll be currently something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Next time you ask.
Exactly. So lately I've been a portrait artist, but that's that's not my whole arc.
That's always been one of the things I admire about you, is you can dive into, like, I will, once I decided music was what I was going to be doing, partnering with Blade and everything, I just hyperfixate on it. I start learning everything I can about one thing, and you just can bounce around and keep doing all this stuff. And it's really inspiring to be able to watch people do that. But on part of the Never Ready topic, I like what lets you feel that comfortable just jumping like all around like that all the time? What keeps you just okay with it? Because I personally, I feel like once I've committed to this, like, I need to be in on it.
I feel like if you're not living on the edge of your seat, you're taking up too much space. I've always been adventurous, and I've always liked to take risks. When I was younger, it's just always been a thing that's kind of been a part of me. So I'm not surprised that this is the path that I ended up taking. When I was a little younger and didn't know at all what I wanted to do, I bought that old ass motorhome in the backyard and took it around the country.
I live in too now.
So
I bought my home from this guy.
But that's that kind of living gave me the confidence to.
So you were always that way. You never felt that like.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm constantly struggling with doubt and fear that what I'm gonna do isn't gonna work, or maybe I should just give up on my dreams just to get a house quicker or something.
No, I feel that, man.
Yeah, so it can be a struggle. I currently live in my granny's basement, and there's that thing that says, like, if you're doing that, you're a fucking loser.
Yeah,
but,
no, I'm with you. I mean, same thing. I get to do all this fun stuff, but really, like, it comes down to it, I just live in an RV in my buddy's backyard.
And that's,
not, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but
in some people's eyes, it's not necessarily a good thing either. If you talk to my conservative father-in-law, he's gonna say that no, you're kind of a loser.
Mhm.
But at the same time, he's also told me that he supports me, and he says you're so brave for even trying to pursue art or music in the first place, for putting yourself out there. So I think a lot of people go down the road of it's like I can either try to do this spectacular thing that might not work and I might fall on my face, or I can just go with this safe route. Like for me, the safe route is construction. Like if I could just dive way into construction and let the music and art thing kind of fall to the background, it would be so easy for me because I got the tools. I got the fucking LLC already started up. Like I could just dive right on in, and I almost did, but at least he reined me in. Because I've convinced myself that it's all on me to get a house for the family and this as quickly as I can. But this whole first year has been focusing on the baby. Lisi's about to start her career. She wants to go into real estate with her mom. Whether that's something that actually ends up panning out, I'm not sure, but I hope it does. But I have her support, and I know that it's not going to be a forever thing, that I'm going to have to, be the sole provider. But I know I can do it with art. I've seen it work. I've seen it happen.
I know you can do it too.
But it seems like the times in my life where I just focused on the thing that drove me and made me excited and focused less on money, the easier the money came. Like somehow this year I've always paid my bills and had plenty to eat, but I wasn't focused on doing construction full time. Seems like the more I focus on trying to make money, the harder it gets to acquire and keep a hold of. Yeah. Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it tends to show up when you're just doing your thing.
There's been times in my life when I stopped worrying about money and just did the fun stuff, and then had a ton of money sitting in the bank because I also am can be kind of smart about money. But I just know it's like the Jim Carrey is a big inspiration for me. All the things that he said about, like the thing where he wrote himself a $10 million check and waited to cash it and gave himself a certain amount of time.
I was actually going to bring up a reference to him. I was going to which you probably already know, but for those that don't, don't want to miss anything, but he was talking about watching his father take the safe route because his father was the funniest guy he knew. Like, or walk into any room, make everybody cry laughing.
Yeah.
Like, very much could have been a comedian or done exactly what Jim Carrey did. But he took the safe route and, like, had the factory job or something. I don't know what he were. But he took the safe route and then still ended up getting fired and failed and, like, lost all that. So he said he watched his father take the safe route and still fail. So he decided if you can fail in the safe path, you might as well go for the, and then another thing you touched on, like talking about your dad being more conservative. Another quote I thought of was, I'm pretty sure it was Mr. Beast, the YouTube guy. I think it was him who said that you're only crazy until it works. Like everyone thinks you're the crazy guy. Like right now I'm the dude living in my buddy's backyard. Like I can go to all my family events and they're like, how you doing? I'm like, oh, still just hanging out in my buddy's backyard. Like, made any money with the music yet? I'm like, some, nothing crazy, Like, I'm surviving. But until like the next, I'm ready. Like it's part of the ego there, but I'm very, very much looking forward to like the Thanksgiving I show up to, and I'm like, doing great.
It's working.
It's working.
It worked.
Awesome.
I told you it was gonna work, and then it worked.
Just took time.
But yeah, I've never, as far as pursuing the art specifically, I've never been more confident. Well, I'm very confident in the fact that I know I can make it work. I know I can. I have a very clear vision as to how I'm gonna get there, and then I'm very, very fortunate I have Alicia around because she has pointed out to me that construction triggers me in certain ways. Like, I associate my dad with construction because he's the reason I grew up around it. And I also he was kind of like, I doubt Dad ever watches this. He might. Dad, you were kind of verbally abusive when I was a kid. I'm sorry. And just kind of the thing. You shouldn't be proud of the fact that you threw a boot at my head when I wouldn't move from in front of the TV. That's all I'm going to say. But what the fuck was I gonna say? What was that? What were we just talking about?
Sorry,
I lost track.
I got distracted
Gosh,
too
dang
by
it. Gosh, dang it.
We were talking about him being more conservative, and it's only crazy. You have Lisi too is a big thing.
She made me realize that construction triggers me in certain ways,
yes, that's right,
and I associate my dad with that, and it makes me more like building all the time, even when it's just me and one other person. Like it makes me more irritable. It makes I'm gone from the house for longer, and it just makes me operate on a completely different wavelength than I do when I'm creating all the time. And if I can, when I can find out, when I can finally like get that line of creating and having enough income from that to be able to provide the kind of life I want for my family, which isn't like extravagant. I just want to be able to travel and show her the world, which isn't like that much to ask.
Not really, no.
I don't think that's that much to ask.
No, I want the same thing. And that was something I wanted to mention, that you and me both in particular are very lucky because we both have very supportive spouses that really help push us. I'm glad that yours has helped push you on there. I definitely because I'm the same way, like doing the construction kind of stuff, which another thing about that is that like we're both creatives. So of course, like I know you're just like me where you build something, you're still proud I built that. I made that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's still a creative thing. Like you do construction in your life, I have too, but I ended up running my own like tile and flooring business and built showers and all that fun stuff. And it's so nice when you're like, I did that. But still, like, you're just not mentally like, it's not fulfilling. Like I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over. It would be like if I came into the studio and recorded the same song every day.
Literally.
I'm like, after like a year and a half, I'm like, okay.
Because at the end of the day, it's another house. It's another thing being repaired on a house, or it's another,
it's
shower
exactly
being
the same
built,
thing.
and it does have its, it is nice and creative sometimes, but I've seen what that kind of life does, especially I feel like building, especially, I'm always around something that's going to kill me.
Yeah.
Being dust,
the most injuries I've ever been around is that kind of stuff.
But yeah, so that's one thing that pushes me towards being creative and trying to make art a career, is that, God, I don't need construction to be my career my whole life. And it's just like I see where that path goes. Like it's just like the house, the kids, the car, and a safety net, and that's there. If I ever need that, if I ever need that, it's there, and I can always go back to that. So might as well go for something.
That's a big thing, is just the understanding that you can always go back. So like, why not try? Yeah. You can, like, a lot of people feel like they want to build the safety net first, and then like, once I have that, I got to go. But by the time you get your safety net, you're like, I'm 45. Yeah. Like I'm ready to settle down.
And I'm constantly walking the line of like I want my family to have a safe place to go, but I don't want my daughter to think she has to settle for the safe route. Take the risks, make the jump, struggle for what you want to get to, because at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it, because you can work your butt off, and you can work your butt off at the safe route, and like you said, still fail. So got to do the fun stuff, or do the hard creative stuff, or whatever it is that drives you.
I very much play with time a lot when I'm thinking about stuff, and I have not been fortunate enough to have kids yet, but I very much look forward to it. Yeah. And I think a lot about, in every choice I make, about how my kids will look at that one day when I'm sitting down talking about how my life. And like when I was taking the safe route before, I had my own tile business, like I was saying, and I was doing great. I could make $2,000 a week, just fine. And this was, like 5 years ago, so like I was even better money than it is now. Yeah. So like I had anything we wanted. Our house was taken care of because my old lady ran an apartment complex, and we got to stay in the manager house, which is a separate house just like next to the apartments. So like our house was taken care of. I'm bringing like a minimum $1,000, good week, $2,000 home every week, doing fantastic. But I had a lot of other things happen in my life around that time, but like, as you know, my best friend passed away during that time, but I was like, financially I was doing great, and like everybody, my whole family, like thought that was one of the times they would show up on Thanksgiving and everyone's excited to ask me, because it's it's new, like I'm running my own business, I'm doing good. But I was not happy. Like I was going to work every day, and I'm like, it really didn't help that like after he passed away, I took probably a month and a half or 2 months off. And it's the beauty of owning your own business. I'm just like, I'm not going to come for like 2 months. I'm dipping out, sorry. They're just excited when I called them to come. The people I subbed for, they were very excited when I just called them ready. First job I got sent to was on the street. He wrecked his motorcycle, like
Dang.
right down, like right by there, literally a few houses down.
Yeah.
And then the second job was the church where we had his funeral. So back to back, like for next
Fuck.
2 jobs I went to were laying tile and right next to where my best friend had just passed away. So I was not doing okay. But that's where like you were really lucky that you chose to or have your wife to dive into and like she point that out because I at that time I do now but at
Yeah.
the time I pulled away a lot. Like I had a very close friend of mine who I owe my life to that was there for like I talked to him during all of it. But during that time was when I was very much like I had so many things I wanted to do, but I was taking the safe route. I was doing
Yeah.
all that. And I got to the point where I had been so miserable, you know, like going and doing this every day.
Yeah.
We moved out of our house, just gave that up. I moved in with the buddy I was talking about just because I needed to change, needed to not live 3 houses down from where my buddy lived. Like
Yeah.
it was just everywhere I went, you know, I was
Right.
there. But I had told him that I was driving like 50 miles to work and then 50 miles back every day because he lived a ways from where I was working, but I just needed something. So I went there. But I told him one day, I was like, you know, man, I am seriously just contemplating wrecking my car every day on the drive to work.
Yeah.
Like I'm not happy, you know, don't want to go do it. And, you know, not in a good headspace at the
Yeah.
time anyway. And he looked at me and he's like, he grabbed it wasn't a coin, but it was like a cardboard coin from some game. He's like, I'm going to flip this coin, and what if it's heads, or if this side, you're quitting your job right now. And he flipped it, and it landed on the ground, and he's like, it's heads. And I was like, man, shit. Text the people I subbed for. I was like, I'm not coming in tomorrow. I was supposed to start a new job tomorrow. And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not doing it, sorry. And I can tell you, I owe my life to that dude. Because
Yeah.
I would not have gone very far. Jordan, if you're watching, I fucking love you. But it was actually about 2 weeks to a month after that. I stayed with him for a little bit longer until I started running out of money. And then I called Blade, and then I ended up here.
Dang.
And then it's now going on 4 years of we have built this entire music thing. I was supposed to be here for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
When I did, I ended up traveling to Georgia, and we were going to travel around in my car, just me and my lady and her dog, just bounce around and go see whatever we wanted to see because we were just, felt stuck. I made it to Georgia. My grandma had passed away, so I came back for her funeral, started working. Blade was going through a breakup, not in a great space, and I wasn't in a great space. So I was like,
Yeah.
you know what, man, you want to work on your music? Because he had always been like one of the best musicians I've ever known, but never had the drive
Yeah.
to make it. I mean, he's always had the drive, but he never had the know-how or the proper like technique to want to
Yeah.
like make a career out of it. He's just like, I just play everywhere I can, you know. And that'll work to a certain extent, but you got to start getting out there, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? But building this and diving into this, man, I feel like I don't feel like the same person when I
No,
was
you
just a
definitely are
construction
not.
guy.
I watched you guys start recording stuff in the closet in the bedroom initially, and we're writing, and then started going to John's studio, and I went with you guys one time, and then it ended up being a song that came out, and
It was Blade's first, actually.
and that was so cool. And I was telling somebody, gosh, I don't remember who it was, but I was telling them recently that because I started hanging out with you guys and playing music all the time and then started playing shows and stuff, that relit my fire for other creative endeavors. And, seeing you guys have so much drive and passion for doing this music thing, and then doing the music thing with you guys for a while, playing shows and going all over the local area, is one of the huge reasons that I'm back into art now. So I appreciate
that
you.
feels real good to
I
hear.
appreciate the shit out of you, man. All the beautiful like art pieces that I've made this year, like all that stuff is in the world partly because of you guys. So
Oh man, I mean, you would
Fucking
have
appreciate that.
ended up doing your thing anyway, with or without us. But I
I
do.
don't
I
know. Do
appreciate
you remember
the-
when you guys first started doing this and you were like, you want to do this for a job? And I was like, no, I have a
Yeah,
job. I do construction.
I do remember you having very much the mindset at first of, well, you can't do that, or it's a little too far fetched. Kind
know
of.
about
Well,
all
I
that.
think, I mean, people call that act like they're being a realist, but you're just being a pessimist. But if you
Yeah.
can step on the other side of that, if it's just as easy to believe it will work as it is to believe it won't work. You
What's
just
that
have to
saying?
choose
It's,
what you're gonna
it's
believe.
Whether you believe you're right or you believe you're wrong, you're correct. Like whether you think you're right or wrong,
That's literally it right
you're
there.
right, yeah.
It's-
Yeah, it's if you think you can do something, You probably can. If you think you can't, then you can't. You're defined by your limitations. Is another thing.
Oh, something that we were talking about before we clicked the cameras on and the mic and everything, is you were showing me your journal and you had a. Did we lose it?
Where is that guy? I remember it hitting the floor.
Oh, it either fell. It might have fell behind that. Uh-oh.
What happened? Wow, that's amazing. I'm really good at doing that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. We'll find it.
Oof. Oh, I can only go so far with my headphone too. On a real note though, where the fuck did I put my journal?
Let me skip this for just a second, because if it's under or in the back.
Huh.
Did you set it out there by chance?
Well, if it's out there,
I mean, not too.
then we don't need to. We don't need it that bad.
No, we can. I mean, I can still talk about
Okay.
what I was feeling in there.
Okay, intermission over.
We have returned. Anyways, let's put that a little closer to you. Not too far, but there you go. You were talking about all your wins. You had a list of wins.
Yeah.
Can you remember just a few even?
I like to call it my to-done list.
To-done list.
Yeah,
like
because
that.
I make a lot of to-do lists, but it almost seems like I'll put it on the marker board, do it, and then wipe it off, and then not give myself credit for that.
Yeah, I started taking pictures of these because every month I cross everything off on my calendar, and then I wipe it all away, and I'm like, I want to get one of the flip ones, not like a regular just calendar, but like one of the big notepads.
Yeah.
So I can go in detail about all the stuff and then look back each year. I'm like, I did all that this year.
I did all that stuff.
It's nice.
Yeah, so my on my to-done list, one of them was find the courage to pursue art in the first place, which is a huge step for anybody that wants to do the thing. Is you gotta have the stick-to-itiveness to do the damn thing.
It's the whole gist of what we're here talking about. You just never most people feel they're never ready, and you have to make that commitment and choice that I'm gonna live the life I want. Yeah,
another thing on the to-done list was get my art in some galleries, which was kind of a cool thing, but at the same time it's not really my jam. So I don't think I'll be pursuing gallery representation too much in my early on in my career, because local galleries is cool to get your art up in. It's cool to go to the gallery opening thing, but it's all tiny spaces and they're all packed full of fucking people. And you do your gallery opening thing and you try to look at art, but you're squeezed in shoulder to shoulder with all these strangers, and it was just it's meh. And people go and they see your work, and every once in a while you'll sell something, but I feel like if I want to sell work, then I'll go to an art fair and try to sell to collectors. That's really the market that I want to go for, is selling to art collectors and people that want my art specifically.
Definitely. What's funny is what I was afraid of, just trying to remember them. Make sure I didn't cover it here. Your brain goes to some of the big ones.
Yeah.
But what I would really appreciated about your list of wins is there's so many things that would be considered super minute little things to a lot of people. And I love that you personally, you'll celebrate everything as a win. And a lot of people need to do that, man. If you can look at you don't got to look at some people will be like, man, I need to make my first sell my first $1,000 piece. Yeah. And until then, they don't feel like they've made it anywhere, because their goal. You need to aim high. Obviously,
I need 5,000
to push yourself.
Instagram followers.
Yeah, but
month.
if you're you celebrating the fact that you made your first 10.
Yeah,
that's so rewarding.
One of my to-done list was sold 6 commissioned pieces over the course of the year, which is. That's awesome. That's great. I'm moving somewhere, and there's growth. So
yeah, definitely.
There's growth in this.
That's 6 people saw your work and was like, I want a custom piece from you.
Now they have it forever on their wall, or wherever they choose to keep it. But I
hear your baby.
I still haven't. Yeah, she's
with his baby and wife outside. But great.
I have yet to sell a piece to somebody that I created just because I wanted to. and that's one thing on my list that of things I want to do. Is like, which will happen. It's inevitable. That's gonna happen.
No.
I also I tend to try to like rush things along. Like, I should be further in my career. I should know
Yeah.
more stuff on the
Patience,
banjo.
man.
I should know more guitar songs. Lacey and I should be able to play for 5 hours without stopping, or you know what I mean, or anything like that. So I gotta learn that it's a marathon and not a sprint, and it's a lifelong thing. Like, music and art is my life's work.
Definitely.
And coming to that realization was like, okay, I'm 28. There's time. I'll get there.
Yeah.
You know, I'll because I have the stick-to-itiveness to do this forever. Like, there's really no other option. When I was working, and being on fire for creative things, I don't have time to, or I don't have the energy after work in the evening to want to sit down and want to do art. So if I were, when I was doing construction full time before I started, before I quit, was I would get up at 3:30 or 4:30 in the morning and then create for a few hours and then go in. And then by the end of the day, if I'm drained, doesn't matter. I'm going to be drained either way. But I'm
I've always
happy
been
that
way.
it's,
Have to do it in the morning.
yeah, because that's when,
Anything I want done, I do it first thing.
yeah. And plus, I like to have a few hours in the morning, so it's, that was definitely my.
Oh, I get up. If I'm getting up early for something, I'm getting up an extra hour before that just to relax. Like, I'm drinking my coffee. I'm hanging out by myself. I used to, when I worked at Ranger Boats, I had to be there at 4 a.m. And I wanted to go to the gym still before work. And that only takes like a 45 minutes, hour and a half max if I have like a buddy in there with me and we're, bullshitting. But I would get up at 12:30 at night just to hang out and like be up for a while by myself, like watching whatever's on Adult Swim and just chilling and then getting ready to go deal with my day. But then I come home, but after work, and I'm passing out on the couch. I'm done for the day, But I've got everything I wanted to do done. I would not have got out of the 10-hour shift at the factory. I'm like, I'm going to go to the gym now. I'm going to go do all that. Nope, it wouldn't have happened. I'd have been like, I'm going home and sleeping.
Yeah, so it's either, 10 to 12, 14-hour day with art and then construction, or it's like an 8 to 10-hour day just creating all day. And like I said, when I can get the income into where I've figured out I need to do this many shows a year to make my money or whatever for the year. Like, I'll get there. It's gonna happen.
You're on the right path.
I'm
even thinking about it that way, about like actually breaking it down and seeing what you actually have to do, is such a big step, because a lot of people just are at the point of just, instead of being like an entrepreneur, they're very much of a wantrepreneur. They just like, they want all the things, they know what they want, they got a clear image of that, but they don't ever set out the plan.
Yeah.
If you set out the plan and just follow the steps. That's why I live by my calendar. If it's not on that list, I'm probably not doing it. It's like I am putting everything on there for every day, my day, the start of every month, I block out what my whole month is going to be.
Yeah.
It's so much easier.
Lacey and I plan out our whole months together. Like,
we sit down as a whole household.
Really? Yeah, we check our calendar religiously because
I erase this whole thing. We sit down and we plan it all up.
Sick.
For whatever's gonna work.
Yeah, that's a great way to do things, because I forget about things. I double book things, and then it seemed like when we had a kid, that's when we started.
We got a group chat too, so if anything changes, anything pops up, like a new show pops up, I add it to the list, or something happens, we double booked something, we're immediately correcting it, and but it's I very much live by that.
Again, with the art, it's just such a awesome thing to get lost in. I love the process, and when you can fall in love with the process of what you're doing, your life's gonna suck a whole lot less, because a lot of people hate the process of the thing that they do. They wake up in the morning and they go to the thing that they don't want to do for the money that they don't really need, but they have to survive. So I've done it, and it's a good way to feel very unfulfilled in your life. So
that's kind of the gist of what I mean by the entrepreneur
Yeah.
thing. It's like, a lot of people want to be like, just you do music, for example. They want to be the musician, so they want to play music, and they don't want to film and edit content. They don't want to make music videos. They don't want to book shows. They want to just be the musician, go play the shows, and be like they're there.
Yeah, the easy part is being the talent.
Yeah, that's the smallest part
That's
of
the
it.
fun part.
I had it on because I used to change quotes on my other marker board, but I had one that was the most successful person in the room is often the most or is no sorry the most talented person in the room is seldom the most successful, because it's not that's not what matters. Talent's really not. It'll help
Yeah.
if you have the drive and you already have talent. Woo, awesome for you.
Yeah.
But hard work will beat talent every single time.
Yeah, and
know.
that's one thing. I know I can do hard things. The Appalachian Trail thing we were talking about earlier. That's a huge thing that I draw
Confidence
strength
booster,
from,
man.
and such a confidence boost because I did a thing that I think how many people attempted every year? 2 or 4? I think 4,000 people roughly attempted every year.
How many people though plan to do that next year for the rest of their
Oh
life?
my God, they'll plan on doing it next year for the rest of their life. And I meant
you did it, you know.
Yeah, and that's such a that's such a huge thing that I like I said I draw strength from because I know that I can do hard things.
Definitely, man.
And
It's inspiring.
And it's never something that anybody can take away from me because it's something that I sacrificed and sweated and grinded it out for 6 months to do. But at least then I had a clear like end game, an end goal with art and with the creative passion. Like there's no end.
I feel like that's the most beautiful part of it, though, and that's the most like that's in my mind where when you really won. Like a lot of people, you want the success, you want them to make money. Once you've made the choice that like I'm doing this for the rest of my life regardless, that's when I personally feel like you've won, because it's like nobody can take that from you. If you never make a buck, if you've at least decided I'm gonna make art for the rest of my life. I'm gonna do it. I'm not stopping, regardless if people will care or not. You know, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
That to me is just the biggest thing. Like, man, the success is so secondary to me. I care, like with everybody I work with, I care so much more about like, let's become the person you want to be. Whether if the success follows that, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do to a certain degree, but that's not what I'm in it for. I'm like, let's be the people that you really want to be.
Yeah.
Let's make sure you are true to who you are. Because I just know when I had got to that point where I was not living the life I wanted to live, and then I had the extra boost of depression with, you know, death happening around me. It just really made that very clear to me that, like, man, making the choice to do what you actually want to do with your life is when you've actually won, in my opinion.
Yeah,
the rest of it's just secondary, man. It's all the journey from there, because then that's when you decide you can just enjoy it, take in the journey, you know.
Yeah.
Live in the moment, not be like, if I don't get to be the number one star in the world, or like me, I want to be a producer. I very much look up to like Ryan Tedder, for example, or Phineas, Billie Eilish's brother. Like,
you're like, why aren't I there yet?
Dude, they're so good. I love it. Like, I don't want to be the biggest musician in the world, but I love like Ryan Tedder, for example. Dude's got like OneRepublic's. I'm probably gonna get the numbers wrong. He's got hundreds of millions of streams, right? Ryan Tedder, as a songwriter producer, like the lead singer of OneRepublic, he's got like over 6 billion streams. Like, he wrote Halo for Beyonce. He wrote so many big songs. He wrote Bleeding Love, you know, keep bleeding.
Yeah.
He wrote all those the same year. Or no, it was Apologize, his first big song, and then Bleeding Love came out the same year.
Yeah.
Then he wrote both. He sang Apologize, but like, I love that. I love the guy who's just in the room
making things happen.
He's very much like a chameleon, man. It's like whatever room he's in. If he needs to be the songwriter, be the songwriter. If he needs to be the producer, be the producer. If he needs to just like be the singer, be the singer. If he needs to just be here to help, he's here to help. I want to be that. Or like Phineas, man. I feel like he won Producer of the Year. Like, I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I'm behind social media. I'll show you stuff years later. But no, people just, when I like the idea of pulling the most out of people, which is what, like, one of my dudes got me the little coach sign, and
I sure thought that said couch earlier.
Couch. I appreciated it. I've actually had a few people end up calling me coach, and it's like Cody, we were talking about Stringer. He just started calling me all the time, which is like a super privilege. I appreciate the compliment of it. I don't think I've earned any title like that. I don't do anything, but it feels good to the fact that I just try to pull the most out of people.
Yeah.
And it's not a surprise to me that I ended up in a job where I'm one-on-one working with an artist, trying to pull the most out of you I can on this track.
Yeah.
So it's like I very much just narrowed in on what I want to do with my life anyway, which is just help people be the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
but the job, it worked out. You know, I told Taylor years ago though, before any of this even, that I was gonna end up having to coach my kids' teams or something, so that I can, so that one day I can be a coach. And then naturally, without ever even saying it, I've had a few friends start calling me that.
That's
and then
awesome.
Bought me the little plaque. That was funny.
Nice.
But that stuff is. That's the good stuff. That's where, like, I know I'm already doing what I want with my life. The success is secondary. I'm making music with my friends. I'm helping my friends, you know, be like Blade never would have thought, like at the time, like I'm sure we'll talk about, I'm sure in his episode too.
Yeah.
That he was that way, like until I sat down with him and was like, man, we can make this happen. He was very much in that state of being never ready, of thinking that like it's just too much of a far-fetched dream. And I'm like, now, like we talk about, like he could be happy right now for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
He works 2 days a week doing construction, plays shows throughout the rest of the week, busks. We're here in the studio. He's got shows like every weekend. So he makes a living like very, very part-time working, and will eventually not need that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you're already, all you do is you make music, put it out, do all the stuff you wanted to do. And me, like, he just didn't have the know-how, right? Or the drive. I've always had very much that, like, fuck it, I'll do it myself kind of mentality.
Yeah.
But, like, but I also, I'll learn, I hyperfixate on stuff and want to learn, but I just super, super simplify it in my brain. I'm like, I have no idea how to be, like, we were calling me his manager when we first started. Like, I was booking his shows and doing all that, but I probably wasn't the actual, like, what you'd call a music manager, but it was just me and two buddies working together. But, like, I didn't know anything. Neither of us did. But I know that if you want to be a musician, you got to obviously be playing every day. You got to be writing songs. You got to be making music videos. It worked out. Actually, my initial passion was I want to make movies. I still will get there one day. So, I'm the film guy. He's the music guy. I'm like, well, we can do that. That's why we're in another studio at first until that didn't work out. So I just did what I had to do. We had that big hole and what we were doing. So I was like, okay, one of us needs to learn to make some music to produce. So I started learning. I'm still not a great producer by any means, but we've worked. At this point, I've got 70 songs-ish that I've produced that are out.
That's fucking awesome.
It's crazy.
70?
Yeah, there's over 70 songs.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Because it happens so fast. I started the first one a few months before September last year, because my first song came out in September. And there was like 2 or 3 months before that I was releasing. So it's been a little over a year.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's insane. And man, none of us knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
You know, if you count the covers and just the videos, I've done over probably 200 videos on the YouTubes now, or on YouTubes between his and mine.
Yeah.
All the various videos we made music videos. So like, you just break it down, man. Like, you have to play shows, you have to write songs, you have to get in the studio and record, you have to make the videos, you have to make the content. It's just, what are the actual things they do? Just start doing that stuff.
Yeah.
You'll learn all the other steps throughout it. Like, just simplify it so that it's not overwhelming. Pick one thing. He didn't feel like he was a great songwriter at the time. We since know that he was just in his head, because a lot of the songs we record are still the ones he wrote when he was 16. We're writing stuff consistently, but we still have like so many that we just need to get out because he's had them forever. But you pick one thing and you start figuring that out, man. And then if you make it simple, it takes a lot of that overwhelming fear of like, I don't know what to do, how to make this dream come true. Just break it down, make a list. If you really write out a plan, like a 10-step plan of like, do this. It
becomes a lot more actionable when you put it on paper. And
it's so hard to say. Like Blade in particular, I reference him last. He's my main partner. We started all this together. He wants to be one of the #1 stars in the world. Well, when you say that, that's like, what? How do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, you just really, really have to step back. Like, first, put all your crap music out. Get better.
Turn that faucet on and let that muddy water just start running out of those lines.
Man. Yeah, literally.
Eventually
you'll get better.
Clear a little, and sooner or later.
You just have to practice and start. But sitting there wanting to do it and just waiting is never going to get you there.
I think one thing that really helps is surrounding yourself with like-minded people that want to do the same thing you're doing. So when I got up there, I was really missing being around you guys all the time, like having people to create with or just be freely expressive with. So I started going to like those jams, so like bluegrass jams and stuff like that. And I also started going to this artist meetup that they had once a month at the art gallery in Soulard,
Mhm.
part of St. Louis, and I met some friends through that taught me what art fairs were.
Mhm.
But because I chose to surround myself with people that are, you know, wanting to do the same thing that I'm doing, I was exposed to a lot more that I otherwise wouldn't have found out about. Like I was able to do a couple of art fair, like local art fairs, without having any kind of a setup or something because my friend just wanted to see me come and do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've got my one friend. His name is Gauze. He's kind of a mentor of mine. He told me what art fairs were and has like kind of pointed me in the right direction for certain things and stuff.
Dude, mentors is a great topic in general to talk about because a lot of people want a mentor and don't know how to find one. But I find if you just put yourself in this situation where you would meet that kind of people, like literally what
Yeah.
everything you're just saying, just go find the like-minded people.
Yeah,
People love to info dump. They love to be the guy to help.
yeah.
Some
people
you
love.
find your asshole every once in a while, but most people just love to help.
People also love to help people that are helping themselves. So
Yeah.
the reason that I feel like that lady Sarah was attracted to my work was because I was at a bluegrass festival, a little small bluegrass thing
You
at
were
a
out here
bar.
trying.
And I was
you know?
out, I was out there showing my work and trying to make something of
Mm-hmm.
it. And people want to help people that are helping themselves. And
Definitely.
because I was out there, trying to make something happen. She was inspired by it, and I put myself in that situation
Mm-hmm.
because.
It was me. I hit mine.
Oh,
I like knocked it.
yeah.
Boom.
But yeah, no, putting yourself around people that are it's just like the opposite side of the coin is true, right? Like if you are a shithead, you're gonna attract other shitheads. When I was living in North St. Louis, well, North County, St. Louis, when I was in my earlier 20s, I was just kind of like not really doing anything with my life and just so I didn't know what to do. So I was just like working a construction job, renting a house, and like just get off work and like
Yeah.
buy the cheapest beer I could and go home and smoke as much pot as I could and eat some food and do whatever.
Sounds familiar.
Do some drugs at night or whatever and then go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then you'll do it again the next day.
Just- yeah.
And because I was doing that, I had a lot of shitheads in my life and a lot of friends that weren't really friends that didn't have my best interest at heart. And a lot of those people that I ran with from back then are either like dead or in jail or like burnt out because they just they stayed in the brine too long.
I feel
and
that.
Became pickled.
Yeah, those are those guys that are still like just basically live in high school, like never
Yeah.
moved. They never.
Or a lot of
Changed.
the guys it was like the music festival scene.
Oh
can't
yeah.
I went to several music festivals where I don't remember any of the music at all. I was just fucked up the whole time, and
Yeah.
that's like that whole scene. That's where I like got introduced to the Grateful Dead was from some dudes I worked with at UPS. They were festival goer people, and they introduced me to the whole scene.
I remember hearing it as a teen at some point, but it's stuck with me, and I've always thought about it. Like if you want to know who you are, look at your 5 closest friends.
Yeah,
So, and it's very true. Like you are just a culmination of all the people you surround yourself with.
absolutely.
So if you surround yourself with people that are wanting to go somewhere with themselves, like they want to better themselves, that rubs off on you, man.
Yeah,
If you're the
it's-
first guy in the group, you're the new guy in the group, and you're surrounded by a bunch of people that are all just like super driven, you're not gonna want to feel left behind. You're
No.
gonna start, but that's gonna light the fire, and then you're motivating the next guy who comes and joins.
Yeah,
you know?
I've had several people tell me that like my motivation and my drive for the things that I'm passionate about has like sparked something in them that.
Yeah,
and
you were
then
just
it
telling me that a second ago,
one-
and that's very flattering to hear when you get that. You know,
Yeah,
and it's
one
super
candle
exciting.
can light 1,000 other candles while still remaining lit itself. So
Yeah, it's
it's like thank you
a good way to
for
put it.
thank you for being a candle.
yeah. Just try to do my part.
Yeah,
but it sounds like you're doing the same. So that's
I'm working on it every day, whether it's trying to make money to keep the business going, because there are times where I'm just starting out this career, so it's a necessary evil at this point, to be able. It's something I'm again glad I can do, but I will make something happen with this art and music thing,
no, I
and
really will.
it's really exciting.
I got zero doubt that you won't. I mean, Yeah, that you will. You'll definitely make something happen.
Yeah, and being surrounded by other like-minded people is really great. I have a friend group that's the other emerging artists. I told you it was a 2-year program, so there are first
Mm-hmm.
years and second years, and all of my first year friends that we were all in a group together. We have a group chat going, big group text, and we get together once a month and just like have a meeting. And
No, I love that.
yeah, we're trying to stick together and really like make like a solid core, group of people that
Yeah, a support group is a big thing. That's why I was saying you and me are so lucky to have. I mean, Blade too. I mean, his
yeah,
spouse is literally his music partner. They
yeah,
perform
that's
together and write and
huge.
record together. But to have someone in your corner that's consistently supporting you, like the friend group's just the icing on the cake. But
Yeah,
man, to have that person that you spend most of your time with
my
be
best
100% in your corner
my
is
best friend is my wife, and
same.
she is 100% in my corner, and it's really awesome
Very much.
to
There's
have.
no one you'd rather spend your time with. You
I
know.
was told by this guy at that same little festival thing that I was at, that same bluegrass deal, that if I was making music with my wife, that I'm already ahead of 90% of the people in the business, because he said that the music business specifically like destroys relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have somebody that you can navigate that with, that will stick with you, and you guys can have that relationship and also like be in the music business together,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, you're way ahead of everybody. And
Yeah.
I thought that was a really
People search their entire
flattering
lives to
thing.
try to find something like we got. You know,
There are
something.
some of my favorite musicians of like they write songs about like dreaming of finding their true love and stuff, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, I already got that. I
I
already got a
know.
baby that is so beautiful, and so in many ways there's already like I've won. I've done
Back
it.
to the small win. The fact that you're the type of person who recognizes and appreciates all those little things is one of the biggest things I admire about you. You're very
Thanks.
much somebody who counts his blessings every day. You know,
I do every single day. I have a an alarm on my phone that goes off 3 times a day: 8 o'clock, 12:30, and 8. It just says practice gratitude. So I find
I love
something
that.
3 times a day. I take a solid like minute. Sometimes I'm in a rush and I'm doing things, so I'm like, I'm grateful for this, and then I move on. But when I
Mm-hmm.
even have like a little bit of time, I try to like really feel what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And so without going into a whole topic of like epigenetics and what all that stuff is, it's really good for you to feel the emotion of gratitude, because it makes you operate in a different energy
Definitely.
field, and it's healing. It's actually
Mm-hmm.
like there's science that says that when you are grateful, when you feel that the emotion of gratitude, then your body emits a certain thing that heals you. It's like a
Yes, sure.
certain whatever. But anyway, there's like it's scientifically proven that being grateful is really really good for you.
No,
So
definitely. Yeah, I've done a lot of looking into that. My teen years, man. I feel like I was the weird kid that was like woke before woke was a thing.
yeah,
I was just like super friend. I was friends with everybody. Like at school, like I'd be in the popular kids group, but then I hanging out with the nerds and then
yeah,
the. I mean, I very much am a nerd, but I'd be like in every single little group, you know, like, and I just liked everybody. My wife gave me the best compliment I had ever got whenever we were just friends before, well, like long before we ever got together, where she just randomly told me one time, she's like, you know, I've known you for a while now, but I've never met a single person that doesn't like you. Which I know a lot of people that doesn't like me,
yeah.
but just the fact that that's like the image that she had of me. I mean, makes sense. Now we're married. Like I kept that person around. She makes me feel good. But
You guys are cute AF together.
appreciate that.
Art,
Yeah,
music.
definitely.
I'm I'm happy that I also am that I have dove into like the recording space, because that's something that Alicia and I are really excited about working on. She, with us having a baby, it being our first year, I'm stoked that there's still been any growth with art. Like everything that I've talked about happening this year has also happened like while navigating being a new dad
Yeah,
and being super
that's
committed to my
beyond
baby.
impressive, by the way,
So
because most people will put it on the back burner and be like, I'm gonna slow down. I'm having a kid.
long days, and but also being at home all the time, I can help Lisa out with the baby. I can help, but now that she's got a little more independence and she'll kind of like go like 'cause she can play or whatever for a while. Or a lot of times she just wants to be held and hang out with us.
Yeah.
But she and I can, when we put our heads together, and when she like rearranges the songs that I write, or like we mix something together, we always make something awesome. And I'm so excited to see where our music goes together, because the Funks are we're gonna make some kick-ass tunes.
Yeah, you already have, man. I love some of your songs, man. I still think Alma May is probably one of the best things you've written.
That
lyrically.
song makes
It's
people.
so good.
That song makes people cry.
I know.
That
I
song-
remember Alma May. I think that you may.
I sang that to her at
Love
so during another cool thing that happened was during the St. Louis Art Fair. We also got hired to perform. So I was doing my emerging artist thing, and then for 30 minutes I also got to be a performer. So that was fun too. We got to, and my mom came up for the show because there's gonna be a bunch of people there. It's a huge art fair. My mom came up. We had some friends come up, and we brought Alma with us. And she was being held in the front row, and I sang that song, and I was looking at her the whole time, and I was just crying, and it was awesome. Gravy took video of it, so I'll post that eventually.
Man.
But
I love it.
But yeah, it was really special. I always love to be able to sing to my little baby. She's right there.
Definitely, man. That's great. You've grown a lot, man, and it's great to see. Going there, I think, has done wonders for what your career moving to St. Louis, because we've talked about it a bunch. Blade's definitely been a little jealous because like it seemed like pretty much since you gone, even with having a new baby, you just like you're consistently got the next thing going. But that's just you. You're constantly looking for the next thing or finding it, and people like you. You're just a super personable guy. You're just super nice and genuine, and that comes off, and we all feel it. So like the second you're around, it's the whole like people buy from people they like thing.
Yeah.
You're yourself, when you're out and about, and you're a likable guy, so it's like it's gonna work for you. So being in a bigger area seems to be good for you.
One of the another mentor of mine, who was a photographer guy that I had on the last day, his name's David Mayhew. He does really kick-ass photography stuff. He's like a storm chaser guy. But I took the time after the art fair to like hit up a bunch of the contacts that I had made. Like on the last day, I was like just collecting as many business cards from people as I could, and then a couple weeks later I sat down and was messaging people. But I hit up this guy David, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it was great to meet you. I messaged the executive director about you. I think telling her that you would be a great addition to art fairs in the future." And I was curious as fuck as to why he felt inclined to do that. So I just asked him. It's like, why did you feel like you should do that? And he was like, I think you're a nice guy, and I think your work is well suited for art shows, and I think you're just going to be a good person to have on the scene. And I thought that made me feel so good, because not only did somebody that's been on the scene for however many years think my work was good enough to be with that caliber of artist, he just thought I was a nice guy that deserved to be.
Dude, you'll get in so many rooms just simply on character alone. Like so many rooms that like just me as a producer, for example, I'm going to end up working with so many more artists specifically on the fact that they like me compared to, because I don't know if I'll ever be one of the best producers in the world. I think that's relative in any way. There's like, it all just depends on the song, like part of what makes some of the best producers and new producers is like breaking the rules, doing weird things that you would think are technically wrong. Some of the best things I produced or done were some of the first things I ever did, and they're so technically wrong. But that's what gives them their charm. It doesn't sound like anything else.
Yeah.
There's one song literally the first thing we ever put out, one of Blade's covers. I knew what doubles were, but I did not know that I needed to re-record doubles. So I used the same track, split it in doubles, but put different effects and stuff on them. So I just had so much like phasing going on, and this whole like underwater sound to the vocal, because there's like 3 layers of different tweaked versions of the vocal going on. And then I probably stacked it up even more in the chorus, and the whole song just sounds like underwater. But we posted it, and like the first comment on it was, "This is like I love this. This is the best one I've heard yet." He'd been putting covers out for a long time.
Yeah.
This is the best one I heard yet, and I particularly love the sound on it, or the sound quality on it. And I was like, but looking back, like at the time, I was like, woohoo, just first thing I ever put out. But looking back now, I'm like,
Turns
there's
out I
so
was
much
doing that wrong.
is so bad, technically wrong. But I still like it has its own charm, like, you know. But a top-notch producer would listen, like, it was wrong. This is horrible.
It's garbage.
But you know, in the end of the day, when it comes to that kind of stuff, art, music, the consumer doesn't care. They don't really care about the little minute details of like.
They don't care that you sat there for 6 hours trying to get that one track just right.
I need the perfect snare. There's like 40 snares I got to run through to find the right one that fits this song perfectly.
They don't think about any of that kind of stuff.
Nobody cares, or they don't. You know, they don't know that. There are obviously your connoisseurs when it comes to art, but a lot of people that are going to buy your standard art, they're not going to know if that's acrylic or oil paints.
Yeah.
They're not going to. They know that's a painting.
Yeah.
Some painting, or that's a pencil piece. That's ink. You know, I don't know. They don't know. Like I'm a big fan of pointillism when I do art. Like I love that.
What they want is a feeling. They're buying a feeling from you. They're buying like. If they're buying a painting that has like a camper painted on it or something, they're probably buying that because there's some kind of sentimental value to it or something along the lines. Or like a piece of abstract art makes them feel a certain way. Or the person just has a ton of money and they just want to spend it. That's a thing.
I mean, that's the thing too.
That's a thing. But
that's all you can hope for as an artist, that your art can make somebody, even if it's not the way you felt making it, if your art can resonate with somebody to a degree that like, then when someone tells you like, man, that just I feel that.
That's the one reason my art focuses on people is because I love people so much, and I think they're so interesting, and just the way that the society works. I don't know. I love people. I love looking at them and drawing them and doing stuff with the human form in artistic ways. I feel like people really connect to that kind of art as well because they can see themselves or a loved one. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and then being able to like capturing emotion is.
That's why I was
really
video
cool
first,
too.
honestly. Like I've learned to appreciate it more and more in music, which it's no surprise to me now. Like looking back, why I came into music, because like my grandpa was a DJ for years. Couldn't even tell you, like 30, 40 years.
That's cool.
My grandpa's a DJ. And then my dad, like a lot of my earliest and best memories, like with my dad, he had me at 20. Like he was young, so I grew up at the party scene. Like I was the little kid at the parties. You know, I knew everybody. All my friends were older because it was like I know all these old dudes I was just like hanging out with. But at the end of the parties every night, it ended up with my dad and his wife and me and just like maybe the select few friends until it weeded out. Just sitting in front of the stereo with the surround sound system with the book of CDs and like
sick
flipping through whatever, like where my dad's trashed maximum song length. Okay. It's
I guess you can only record an hour and 13-minute and 47-second song on GarageBand.
Yeah.
Double it.
Yeah. Sorry about that. The audio cut out. It's gonna be cutting out for a second. I was gonna click us in. Sorry. What was? Those nights with my dad.
Yeah.
But he's drunk. You know, his friends are drunk. I'm just a little kid. But that was when my dad is also very like I wouldn't say he's shy. Like he is a little shy, but he's pretty outgoing and stuff. Like everybody likes him. He's very personable when he's around. But like when it really comes down to it, he's a pretty shy guy. But when he starts like drinking and at the end of the night, he's like belting out singing, like pure, like just letting it go. And those are some of my earliest and best memories. We're like hanging out at these parties. Like all my friends got to come because their parents were also at the parties. And then we're all just like hanging out. And then at the end of the night, I get to sit with my dad and, you know, stepmom at the time and then whoever else was there. Just belting out songs, and I'm a kid. Like I'm ballsy at the point. I didn't care. There's no, you know, insecurity there. I'm just like, ah!
Yeah.
I'm like singing "Lips of an Angel" with my dad, and then just like having a great time.
Awesome.
Me and my dad used to have dance battles on those nights too.
Nice.
But what's funny is my dad. The only thing he does is he'll just be like,
silly.
He'll just pop and do that, but he'll just like move around, and I was like a little kid just going off like dance battling my dad.
Awesome.
But it was like, like I said, it's just in my DNA. My grandpa was a DJ. My dad has always loved music. He's like listening to Slipknot, listening to Wu-Tang, and then bumping Taylor Swift after that. And like he just listens to everything. But I've grown up like that. So I've always just listened. Like I wish I still had just the actual CD book because it would be so all over the place. He went to, I don't want to get confused. It's either Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera concert, but I'm pretty sure it was Christina Aguilera.
Lit.
Like, he's like going to that kind of. He went to Puddle of Mud, and then he also went to Christina Aguilera. Like, he's just like, whatever, love it. But I've always just been around that, so it's like no surprise that I ended up in the music. But what I was saying initially is the emotion part of it. Like, that's why I loved film.
Yeah.
Like, I was the guy whipping out the camera at like just events and stuff, and just like, and then even acting, trying to be able to convey that emotion and make somebody feel a certain way by like the way the angle was shot on the person, and if it's a sad scene, man, the person's crying, but the way the angle's there, and then the lighting's the certain way, and then the color tones in the shot, all that. If you can make someone feel the way you're trying to make them feel, or the way that you like want, you felt,
they're trying to convey that.
It's so beautiful when that resonates with somebody, and I'm really, really diving into that. Like, I care so much when we're recording about, like, if this is like an aggressive song, get up on the mic, be all aggressive.
Yeah, that's one thing that you did. Like, recording the couple of songs that I've recorded with you is like you try to pull that emotion out of somebody. Like, you really convey what you're trying to say with this, and that's a very helpful thing to connect with that emotion and try to make that happen.
Well, I'm glad it's worked. I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude, that's sweet.
It's all I try. That's why I love this as a career path, because it's like all I'm trying to do every time. Like, let's pull the most out of you we can. So like I've sat with Blade and made him write whole essays about what this song's about.
Hell
Give
yeah.
me 2 or 3 pages about what this is about before you even try to write a rhyme.
Yeah.
That's like know everything about what you're trying to say first.
And that's super helpful too. Like just writing as much as you can about that, because then you have everything you're gonna write about written out right there. It's like, oh well, I could take that line, maybe rhyme it with something like, you know what I mean?
Man, too, the ability to have the freedom to not commit to stuff, like to move lines around, to rewrite entire verses, to be like. Just like, let me take this line that I had up here and put it down here.
Yeah.
So many people get stuck in the, like, I have these 3 lines and I don't know where to go from here. Maybe those 3 lines aren't it. Maybe you switch. Maybe change the 3rd one and keep the first 2.
That's why I'm really happy to have Alicia around, because
somebody bounce it off of.
She comes in and she's like, oh, this would be nice if we just kind of move this here and did this, cut this out. That doesn't make sense. And then put this here, and then boom, we have a song.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
It's definitely nice to have somebody to bounce off of here. All right, closer to wrapping this up, the final thing I would like to ask from you is, what is something that, and feel free to dive into it as much as you want.
Okay.
This is the time I'd like you to talk directly to whoever may be watching this. What would you just say to someone who feels like they're just never quite ready? Someone who wants, no matter what it is they want to do, whether it's creative or not, they want to start their own business. Maybe it's construction. Maybe it's...
Do it scared. It doesn't matter if you're scared. Just do it scared. Like, be scared and do the thing that you want to do anyway. Because... we were talking about earlier, you might fail when you take the easy route. So do the thing you're gonna do it scared. Stay up late, work your ass off. I don't pretend to have it all my damn self. I've got a long way to go, and I'm just getting started. But yeah, work your butt off and don't make excuses. Just do the thing that you want to do, because you got a whole life to live. It's not that long, but just chase your dreams regardless of how much time they take, because that time is going to pass anyway, and eventually you're going to look back on your life and wonder where it went, and are you going to be happy about the choices that you made, or are you going to look back and be full of regret that you took the safe route your whole life? So yeah, do the thing, do it scared, don't make excuses. Do hard things. That would
that's beautiful.
That would be what I would want to tell people, because that's it's just a little reminder to.
And then
work.
something again I try to take from you is, don't be afraid that when you dive into that thing like that's gonna have to be the thing. Like, you have to do that now. Like I said, I wanted to make movies. Now I'm a music producer running the studio. He was diving heavily into music there for a while. Thought becoming a producer and all that, recording for various people. Now he's he's always done both the art and the music, but now he's like, you know what? Art, I think, is the main thing.
Yeah.
It can change as you go. It'll develop in who you are. As long as you're being true to what you actually want to do, I think you'll be fine. So just, let it go.
Just go do the thing, and stop. Just don't make excuses. just do the thing. I
That's
get
the thing.
so exhausting when people are like, "Oh, well, I was gonna do this, but then this happened, and this person did this, then I can't." Just don't be a victim in your own life, and
Don't be too smart for your own good, because if you're too smart, you'll be able to easily validate your excuses.
Oh, analysis paralysis is a real thing as well.
I know. I can't remember where I was hearing it, but therapists like apparently don't like. They really like the lower intelligence customers or clients because like you tell them, hey, do this, this, and this, and your life will get better. And they're like, come back a couple weeks later, you're like, you know what? I'm feeling pretty good. You talk to the smart person, you're like, hey, if you do this, this, and this, and they're gonna have 15 reasons why that won't work. And they'll be able to justify it in their head. So that's a crazy thing.
Yeah, and then like it's important when you have something that you're so focused on, like art or music, to also have another outlet that doesn't have anything to do with that at all. Like for you, I know you like to work out and you like to go do training stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, I like to play disc golf.
Yeah, also, I'm video games. I'll dive into. I'm not an online gamer, but I like the solo, like our role playing games where you really like Elden Ring's big one.
Yeah.
I play. I have put over 100 hours in my Elden Ring character. I'm probably getting closer to 150. And I'm like, that's just over time, but
yeah, and
like,
so
man.
it's you have something outside of your thing that keeps you.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like it needs to be. If you want to make it your career, it's obviously going to be a job, and you need to take it seriously. But it doesn't have to consume every single bit of who you are. You don't have to feel guilty to take a break.
Yeah, that's a huge one because I get so into the I have to get work done or I have to. I've only been working since 8 a.m. It's 7:30.
Dude, I don't know why, but for me personally, it's like I am fantastic mentally, like most days through the day. Like I wake up in the morning ready to take the day on, especially if I do hit the gym first thing, which is what I try to do. I mean, I'm ready. I'm on it. But it seems like most nights when I'm laying in bed is when I'm laying there. Like after Taylor's passed out, I'm like laying there by myself, and I'm like, is this gonna work? What am I doing? I got all these different things I should be doing.
What are we doing here?
I'm like sitting here getting. It's so weird too that like I've gotten aware of it at this point. Like I'm laying in bed and I'll be negative, and I know that like if I just go to bed, like I'll wake up positive.
Yeah.
I feel like almost at this point I have to get it out at night though, when I'm by myself there, just be like, shit ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna fucking work.
Oh,
but I still feel that like every day, no matter what you're doing.
I wrestle with imposter syndrome a lot.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing for me.
One thing that's interesting about imposter syndrome is that like you feel like an imposter because you're new at the thing that you're doing.
I feel like it's a good thing to feel. If you don't feel it, you've become stagnant. You've gotten too familiar where you're at.
Yeah.
You're just that like you need to constantly be progressing because you're always gonna feel. Dude, like we've worked with 2 other producers that personally feel like damn near blow me out of the water. They got so much experience and knowledge on everything that we've done. But I feel like I'm like half the time I'll be around these guys. I'm like I don't even feel like I'm on par with what we're doing here.
Yeah, I do that a lot with either other artists that I see either in my friend group or in like on Instagram or something. You know, like at first it's inspiring to see all these other artists doing all these kick-ass things, but then the thoughts creep in and it's like, why aren't I doing those things? Why aren't I?
Definitely, you can't compare yourself though to the next person. You can only compare yourself to where you were yesterday or weeks ago.
And as long as there's still growth, then you're moving in the right direction. You shouldn't beat yourself up. Like I'm talking to myself first because like I have to remind myself that it's okay to be learning. It's okay to be on the way to the thing.
It's okay to not be the best already at everything. You know?
And I can't wish my time away because this is a really
enjoy the process.
It's a really important time in my life. My daughter's a tiny baby, and there's no need to rush anything. And then like if you're truly living in the moment, then you're not thinking about the past or the future, and that's where the suffering lies is in your attachments to what the future or the past might have been or might be or whatever. So living in the moment, just there's no suffering when you're truly in the present moment.
There's a movie, it's something like I think it's The Last Boy in New York or something like that. There's a quote I really like from it, that the longest distance that exists is between what you thought your life would be and what your life is.
Yeah.
So like it's the longest distance that exists. I'm probably saying that a little wrong, but that's the general thought, and that stuck with me when I heard that, man. Because like that, It's so accurate because like if you'd have told me where I'm at right now, even just 10 years ago, I'm like, no way. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way you'd see yourself in that exact spot or picture it. And it always is going to come out different than what you pictured. But don't get too attached to the image that you create of your life.
Yeah.
Just actually enjoy what your life is.
Yeah. Yeah, and then where our paths are similar because you don't know exactly where it's headed. And I think that's really exciting because when I was doing construction full time, it's like I can see pretty much where my life is headed. Like I'm gonna save up this amount of money per year, and my body is gonna hurt this much more in this many years.
You can you grew up with your dad who runs his construction business. You literally, like you're talking about your safe route. You have your LLC. You could go do it all right now. You just be your dad. Essentially, you know, I mean, you're you obviously, but that's the life you'd have.
I've noticed that when, like the last couple of projects that I've done, like Gravy and I were working together on a porch, and she was like, "Bro, are you okay?" And I was just thinking about stuff and looking at the project, and I can't even make the face on purpose, but I call it Shane face because it looks like my dad's face. I'm like grumpy, but also focused and like worried, and that's the face that I make. I call it Shane face, but I can feel when I make it when I've been making it. But somebody pointed out to me today, like we're putting a roof on the storage building that we're building, and somebody, I can't remember who it was like, "You okay, bro?" And I was like. Yeah, why? And they're like, "You look grumpy." I'm like, "Oh, that's just my Shane face." And I really only make that when I do construction.
Gotcha. That's funny. Man, that is. But yeah, I can see you're definitely like. I've not been around your dad too much, but in the times I have, like you're a lot alike in certain ways. Like you can tell it's your dad when you're around. Just certain.
I try to absorb as much of the good as I can and leave as much of the bad.
You just learn from the bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But nobody's perfect, though. You can't expect anybody to be.
Nope.
But, yeah.
I know my parents did the best they could with the tools that they had. So
that's all any parents can do. Or really,
Good
nobody's
try.
going to be perfect. Even, like, man, even if you are, your kids will look at whatever the one bad thing was. But everyone's, worst day is only relative to their worst day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, if your worst experience with your parents was them taking away your video game console for a month once, then you're gonna act like that was the worst thing ever because everything else was perfect.
Yeah.
If your worst experience was like getting beat as a child, then them taking away your console, like that ain't shit.
Seems
you know what I
pretty
mean?
good,
So
actually.
it's like everyone's worst is only their worst. But anyways, just you want to let these people know where they can find you, what you got coming?
You can find my Facebook, Dylan Funk. My Instagram is dfunk.art. But if you just look up dfunk art, you'll find me. And I have a YouTube page. I don't remember what it's called at the moment, so you can find it also on my Facebook. I've got a bunch of art fairs that I'm going to be doing next summer. I'm going to try to stay as busy as I possibly can. Mm-hmm. I want to book Lisi and I for a bunch of gigs, and so that'll all be,
definitely
I'll put all that stuff out on social media and whatnot.
I'll make sure to throw out, remember this guy does do commissions, and he's a fantastic artist. I'll be sure to display some of his art on the screen here for what we got going on.
Awesome. So, yeah, that would
I'll
be
probably
sweet.
put your names to YouTube or Instagram and all that on here too. So we'll find that by then. We'll get that for you.
Venmo, Cash App, all that kind of stuff.
yeah. If he's accepting donations because struggling artist.
That's right. But yeah, the taking the leap and moving to St. Louis was a really good move, not just for my art career, but for my family.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm really happy that I did. So I'm just gonna keep on LIVIN, man.
Absolutely. Life's a garden. Dig it.
I can dig it.
But yeah, no, it's inspiring to see, and I very much am appreciative to have you as a friend, man, because it's good to, like I said, having those like-minded people around and people that just, man, you've done already like so many more things than I've done. There's even the trail alone, counting that is insane. You traveled all over the place in the RV for years before that, and like the amount of people I couldn't even add on. I don't even have that many Facebook friends, and you've met and have encountered. And man, everybody who meets this guy loves this guy. So I'm excited to see what comes from you, man, both musically and artistically and just in life.
It's a beautiful journey I have ahead of me. And I'm 28 years old, and I feel like I'm 40. because like it feels
You've
like
done so much, but you're
it
not even 30
feels
yet.
like my 20s have lasted forever, and I'm so grateful for that because I feel like the quickest way to make your life just flash by is doing that same thing, living the same day over and over again for years.
Yeah, and only looking to the future, not living in the moment, man.
Yeah, so most of my time has been, and a lot of my time has been spent, trying to get to a goal or trying to achieve, some other awesome thing, the next adventure or something, and it's. I feel like that's the key to a long, happy life is like making those relationships and then cultivating that and connecting with people and finding the things that you love to do and just fucking doing them.
Yeah, man. Just going all in on yourself is like, that's the, commit to you. What do you really want with your life? And then commit to that, man.
Yeah.
That's the...
No matter how crazy it might seem, just dang old do it. Unless you want to be like a murderer or something.
Don't probably don't commit to that, but probably seek some help. But anyways,
I really appreciate having you in my life. You guys are fucking awesome, and I love hearing your music come out. I jam your playlist periodically.
I appreciate you, bro. Well, anyways, this has been Dylan Funk. I'm Christian Blake, and hopefully we can help you throughout this episode and the other episodes to come of this podcast, help you feel just a little bit more ready to, dive into yourself, to, commit into your life, really just, take the steering wheel of your life and decide what you want to do, because I was stuck in the day-to-day life for years, been there.
Shit, my bad, dog.
I started, whoa. Let me get serious with you for a minute. And I, working at that first factory I did at Ranger Boats, I remember my boss sat me down and started showing me like the projections of what I was going to make, and I was going to be able, I got in there right out of high school, and I was going to be able to retire in my mid-40s, like I was going to be fine, do great, would have been set, because I was rising up pretty quickly in there, doing fine. It's just factory work. But when he showed me that, I was like, he started talking about I was going to be making good money, I was going to be doing all this and everything. I panicked. Like, it
here's the rest of your life.
Literally,
right
I was
here.
like, I'm in my same town. I graduated 200 feet from this factory. My school was right next to the factory, and I was like, I'm going to be everybody else in my life that I've been around and watched. So I literally was like, man, thanks, talking about the whole meeting. Walked back over to my station, was stressing for a while, and then I sent a text to a guy I worked for in Springfield for a summer in a mowing company. I was like, do you need another guy? And he's like, always. And I was like, when can I start? He said 2 weeks. I said, perfect. I walked back up to Lonnie, the manager at the time, which, I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. I was just realized I was going to be there my whole life, and I put my 2 weeks in right away after we just had a conversation about the projections of what I'd be making, because I couldn't do it.
Awesome.
But then, I fell into the habit of, which I went to Springfield. I moved away. And then I had a buddy pass away. He actually took his own life. But that was what made me move back.
Yeah.
And when I moved back, I started kind of playing the safe route again. I got in a relationship. I started my own business, doing all that. But it wasn't until my second best friend, so like my original trio, kind of is gone now. But my best friend passed away, and that was when I was like, man, life's too short.
Yeah.
I had to get out of there because I wasn't doing good. But I owe everything to my buddy Jordan, who made me really take the leap. So honestly, I mean, just now saying it out loud, like, that's the initial reason that made me ready. I was not ever ready until Jordan's like, I'm gonna flip this coin. So I owe a lot to you, buddy.
What was it? I had one last point that I wanted to make. Was that it's just because you're committing your life to something doesn't mean you automatically have to quit your full-time job right away.
No.
I know that can be, like, I've had people that I've met, like, paint the picture of me in their head that I just, like, have already, like, that I just was able to quit as soon as I, like, I was like, decide to become an artist, quit job, be artist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of the mentors that I had that I met during the course of the St. Louis Art Fair was that, like, they told us during their panel discussion on the first night that it's okay to keep your day job for a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's actually better if you don't make your creative endeavors pay your bills initially. Like, oh
yeah, the stress that adds to just trying to do
oh my god,
right
I'm happy to take up other jobs if it means my creative endeavors aren't forced to make something happen. Like I have to sell a piece of artwork to pay my car is going to get repoed or something. Like if I have to make money, I'm going to make it at a job, and that's okay. Like it's okay if you can't quit your job right away. We're all working towards the spot where we can just do this all the time. So it's not something that you just have to jump into right away. It's better for you to maybe keep the money coming in, and so you can keep working on your thing, even if you have to work longer hours or weekends or mornings or.
Yeah, see, that's what my mind right there. That's great point, because my mind, that's the way you play it safe, not the like I need to wait, because that's exactly the mentality I had. Is I can't start doing the thing until I've got this cushion, until I've built this up. You can work at the same time, man.
Yeah.
You can do both. And it's going to eat away at you if you don't start doing what you actually want to do.
Yeah, well, look at Blade. Like, he's working a couple days a week, and he's, he just hasn't completely quit his day job, but he has found a way to make it work with his life.
Less and less. First, I had to start, like, not working Fridays a lot of times because you might have a show that Friday. So he's like, I can't come this Friday. And then that's turned into, like I said, now it's just 2 days a week. And some weeks he's like, I'm not going to come in. I got shows all week.
Yeah. I was working at a repair company, an exterior repair, home repair company. And I was there 45 hours a week, and I worked there for 2 weeks. And I told them that I had found another job and that I would be quitting, and I hadn't found another fucking job, but there was no way I could keep doing it because I was gone from my house 45 hours a week, and doing the being drained, getting home and stuff. And I was like, I'm not falling back into the get up at 4 a.m. to do, I was just a job that I took because it was like, this might work out. It didn't work out. But no, it's
not everything will, man.
I think it's great to, keep some money coming in.
Yeah, definitely.
Until
take care of what you got to take care of.
Yeah, but also like, do the other thing at the same time.
Take care of what you got to take care of, but don't neglect committing to yourself in the process,
Yeah, absolutely.
Stay true to who you are, but still make sure you keep the lights on.
We're going to call this the Midwestern Goodbye Podcast because we keep almost ending it and get back into stuff.
But which I could talk to this guy for hours. We probably will continue to talk after this.
Yeah.
But we're going to go ahead and sign off on this. Has been the first episode of Never Ready Podcast. So hope we can help you feel a little more ready. Good job. I love you, buddy.
Love you too, man.
Yeah, have fun, guys.